the addiction didn't happen overnight, the problem she had. So there were red flags that I think I ignored personally. And if she needed something or I didn't think she was doing well in an area, I would just try to do it for her. It's just hard to know. Sometimes you do feel frustrated because you just say, well, why can't you just do this? But she just wouldn't. But when I really stopped and thought about it, I knew that there was nothing that I could do within myself to make her happy. Because I just wanted her to be happy. And there was nothing that I could do to make her well.
Hey, this is Pastor Brian, and we're here on our Celebrate Recovery podcast. And let me start in our Celebrate Recovery way. I'm Brian, a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, struggle with pride, anger, and anything a man struggled with in his past. And this week I've got Lisa and Jeff with me. And if you listened a few weeks ago, you would have heard Rachel sharing with us, and this is actually Rachel's parents. So we're going to have a conversation here about recovery and parents of recovery, and then the beauty and everybody attending Celebrate Recovery together, because that's where this has ended up. So just real quick, would y'all just just introduce yourselves?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm Jeff, grateful believer in Christ. Started coming to CR. Rachel had a addiction problem, and it was a lot. We've been recapping today. My wife, Lisa. Mm-hmm. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah. You can say Lisa.
Hey, I'm Lisa.
There you go.
I am a great believer in Jesus Christ and grateful to be here tonight.
Good. And thank y'all for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, glad to.
And, I talked with Rachel for really about an hour that afternoon. It just flew by, and it almost was needed like a part 2 and 3 with it, because, she really articulated well, and she's in a great spot in her recovery, and
amen to
it's
that.
good.
Yeah.
And
she is.
She's one of those that I remembered the very first time when they walked in the door.
Right,
and
right.
I remember meeting y'all the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Lo and behold, we wouldn't have known we'd been sitting here doing this.
That's right.
But what I'd like for us to just kind of talk today is a little bit about what led you to seek out a recovery program of a 12-step nature, and but also a parent's perspective in that.
Right.
We're offering hope to a parent.
Right. Well,
in the position that y'all were in.
Well, that's why we keep on coming. We want to provide hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all one dark street. So we've been recapping it today. A lot of details I forgot. Lisa knows it better than me. So
I think I guess it was June of 21 when we came to Celebrate
Mm-hmm.
Recovery for the first time. Our daughter it'd been years, a long road,
Mm-hmm.
and she had gone to rehab and been in rehab for just a few weeks and had left. We went and got her and brought her home. And when we came home, I told her we've got to go somewhere. We need help. And Jeff and I needed something ourselves, I think.
right.
Even before had we known about Celebrate Recovery, we would have come, ourselves. But she had her group in rehab had taken her to a Celebrate Recovery, so she knew. So that's what helped us start Googling and looking for somewhere to go. And we ended up in Statesville. I remember coming in, and everybody was so welcoming and kind to us, come up and speak to us, and we enjoyed the worship, and felt so overwhelmed, I guess, was just trying to get something to help her. So it was a few weeks in before I began to feel that hope of how much it was going to help. The services, we didn't stay. She didn't do small groups for a while, but just the worship and hearing the lessons and the testimonies
Oh, yeah.
really meant a lot to us and to her.
I remember one testimony, just it was a shock to me, but, when I first came, I was ashamed, embarrassed. We had been through a lot, but and then we stayed and heard the testimonies, and that was really, really good for me. Made me kind of know that I wasn't the only one that was suffering.
So you as parents felt shame, and as you said, embarrassment for
Right.
being there, and that's something that folks walking in the door for the very first time, either a parent or someone coming,
Right.
feels the same thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Rachel's a smart girl. She went to college, graduated nursing school in like 4 years, and she got 2 or 3 jobs right out of school. So this just was something that really we just weren't expecting.
We weren't
Yeah,
prepared for it.
yeah.
Shocked.
Yeah.
And
Her last job, she was like a nurse manager at a rehab house. So that was, I don't know if that's where she learned part of her behavior or not, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's at what point? I talked a lot with her, and she was very open. And if you've listened to the talk with her, you'll hear that. But the thing that stood out is y'all came together.
Right.
Y'all walked in the door as support and stayed. And you mentioned coming to the large group, but not staying for the share groups. And did y'all walk in the share group together for the first time, or did she go without y'all?
she went without us.
She went without you the first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had gone several times, and Jeff and I encouraged her to go to small group, and she really didn't want to.
Yeah.
at
She was
first.
very adamant about that.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
we kind of insisted
Yeah,
that she
'cause
went.
We talked
And,
a lot about when that first time she took that step
Mm-hmm.
in that.
and of course, was an adult, but she had moved back in with us, and she'd been in and out several times, and it's hard to get to that point. But we were at the point where you can come back, but this is how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Yeah,
what we're going to do, and she willingly accepted it. We're just so grateful for what God's done.
Yeah. What was that conversation on the way back, if you remember it, for the first time that she actually sat in the group and got back in the car?
Yeah, I
and
don't
went up?
remember everything
Yeah.
she said, but she did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And she felt connected. I don't know if she felt like she wouldn't be able to connect with the people in the group like she did, but she did. And I know she came home even the first night that we came with somebody's phone number.
Yeah.
Just text me because she'd only been clean, just a few
Not
weeks,
long,
a month
yeah.
maybe.
Not long.
And we were actually leaving the large group, and someone spoke to us and asked us, and we told him while we were there.
Yeah.
And he asked how long since she had been using, and we said, well, just about 4 weeks. And he called another woman over and made sure Rachel had her number in her phone if she needed support, which was encouraging to me.
Oh yeah,
Lord's just done so much.
Yeah.
he sure has.
Well, we prayed for her, and I know that I did a lot of things that helped her stay where she was, but I was more just trying to, I guess, through my will and my actions, make her well.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it took a while for me to just give it up. We had tried several things, and it just never did work.
Yeah.
So just give it up and give it to God. That's hard. So
Because she would go right back.
Yeah.
Even when we'd help her, when she would be really down, and we would think, okay, we can help her now, get her out of this.
Yeah.
But it did. And we had gone to a conference in Winston to hear somebody preach that we liked, and the lady prayed at the beginning of the service. And I still remember, because we went so emotional, and one of the things she said in her prayers was, and we didn't know the lady, but she just said for parents of children here in trouble that God will show them what to do and what not to do. And I think I needed to hear that, because there were some things I needed not to do
Yeah.
that enabled her. And the Lord's just helped us through it all, and Celebrate Recovery's been a big part of keeping us
Wow, amen.
together.
Now, at what point did y'all start attending groups?
I think we stayed the same night. I think.
I didn't go into the other group honestly, I didn't realize there was another group. I just went outside and sat.
Right.
But I think that nobody really said anything to me
Yeah.
because they thought I was just
Yeah.
choosing not to go.
Yeah.
But I did at some point realize there was another group I could go to because I didn't want to go in there with her, and obviously would, you know, she. But it's been very good for me to be able to, and healing, emotionally healing, I think, for me to be able to sit and share.
Yeah.
And I didn't, even the first couple times I went, I didn't really share anything but my name. So I don't know why it was just hard for me to talk about my child
Yeah.
and to talk about how I felt, I guess. But after sitting in with them for several weeks, once I started talking, I talked a lot longer than I thought I would.
Yeah. That generally happens. That rings true with every time, because I always like to ask folks what was and it's generally the same pattern. They sit in share group for a time or two, and then once it finally unlocks, it's just like, it's like, hey, why have I waited so long?
That's
You know?
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
And when we really started having a hard time managing things ourselves, it was during COVID. We tried to look. We knew we needed help. We needed somebody to talk to and help us. I wish that we had found Celebrate Recovery then.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad we found
Yeah.
it later.
Yeah, we were. We were in the parking lot then, but we were still there. But have y'all? And I know share groups are a safe place, and you don't share what's said in the group. But has that, with y'all attending the group early on, and then when Rachel was in the group, did that help a conversation to where y'all could talk about possibly like the lesson, and then y'all talked about that together? Did that spark conversation?
It
with
did.
y'all?
It did. It sparked a good conversation that we could talk through things and understand each other where
Right.
we all were.
Right.
So that had never happened really before up until.
Well, there was talk, but it wasn't good talk. So it was do this and do that.
Yeah.
Well, we were pushing, and she wasn't going to be pushed because we wanted her to make changes she wasn't ready to make, and it just may have started out as a good conversation, but it didn't always end up well.
Yeah.
And it was good to be able to talk about the different things, the lessons, and work. Because at first, I don't think she wanted to even work the steps. She was just going to go.
Right.
But
Yeah,
that's changed.
She said that. Yeah.
Yeah. She was going to go, but do it her way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There we go.
believe
Yeah.
that might have been exactly how she worded it.
That's
Yeah.
Rachel's life story. I think, so.
Boy,
We have to get her in here with y'all together. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. But no. But what hope could you offer? Because there's a lot of parents sitting there right now, sitting there trying to figure out at that point. But at what point did that conversation change? Because you said before it wasn't healthy, and then
well, I tried, the addiction didn't happen overnight, the problem she had. So there were red flags that I think I ignored personally. And if she needed something or I didn't think she was doing well in an area, I would just try to do it for her, which I shouldn't have done, but I did.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to know. Sometimes you do feel frustrated because you just say, well, why can't you just do this? But she just wouldn't. And there was just a point that I realized it just wasn't working. I had to stop and look at it because I'm the kind of person I run at it. I don't always stop and look and think about it. And that's what I was doing. I was just sort of picking a course of action of something to do and doing it.
Yeah.
But when I really stopped and thought about it, I knew that there was nothing that I could do within myself to make her happy. Because I just wanted her to be happy. And there was nothing that I could do to make her well.
Yeah. And, we'd be there at night, 2:00 in the morning, and the phone rings, and, it's never good. And, you just fear for her safety, and then it just, she just wasn't in a real good place. So,
And then there's the point where I did have to give it to God, and I do believe that I did, but I would take it right back. But I believe that the Holy Spirit would let me know when I was taking it back, which may have been every 5 minutes,
Yeah.
but it became, and I just felt like, the Lord was working, and I just had to wait, and waiting it's an active verb, I guess,
Yeah.
it's hard to do.
It's hard. And you've mentioned, and y'all have been in groups and, for almost 2 years yourselves. But a lot of the things that you just mentioned, as far as, giving it to God, surrendering it, turning it over, and taking it back, is a lot of the same things that the person you're trying to help is going through. And y'all, I know you realize that now, but did you understand that then? Probably.
Maybe not as well as I do now.
No, I didn't. I guess I was thinking about me more at that point,
Oh,
and and the CR just became sort of a safe place for me, so where I could do that. So
that's cool. And I do want to mention this because it stood out in the conversation I had with Rachel. But she said there was a point, because I kind of asked her. I said, "What point did things start turning?" And she mentioned about how she viewed herself and how she really just honestly didn't like herself. And you shared some words with her, and you probably just did that at that moment. But I'm sure you didn't know the impact that would make, because it came up in the conversation. And what were those words?
I don't know that I remember them exactly.
It was something about looking in the mirror, and she said she didn't like herself, and she said she remembers them. So, and she said you said something to the effect of, "Well, you need to go look in the mirror because you're going to be with yourself a lot, and if you don't like yourself,
that kind of that does ring some bells, because I told her you'll never be happy because you're never going to be away from you.
Yeah,
because you're everywhere you go.
Yeah,
and you've got to learn to love yourself to be happy. And I think that it really took Rachel some time to do that, but she has, and didn't happen overnight, but it's been a journey. But she's just doing so good.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I tell folks a lot is you're generally in recovery. Your worst enemy is the one that's looking at you in the mirror.
That's right.
And you've got to get that figured out first. And
she was very good at hiding how she felt until it just overwhelmed her, I guess, until she just couldn't control it anymore, because she would seem okay to us.
Right,
but then we'd realize she just wasn't.
Yeah.
And she lived 4 hours away, so I think she stayed to kind of keep us at bay for a while, to keep us from knowing what was really going on. And it's hard as a parent. It's hard for your other children, too, to watch what their siblings going through as well as what their parents are going through. So, I think that's important as parents to. I know we have supported our other child, but when I look back, there's times I wish I had done more, because I was so focused on the one that was having problems. Sometimes
Oh, okay.
There's always seems to be a fire to put out.
Yeah.
So
at what point do you think things shifted for you as mom and dad in this journey, as far as where you surrendered things, and then when you kind of started seeing things change, you started seeing some change happen in her, and to where y'all were kind of a point to where you said, wait a minute, there is hope here.
Well, things had really continually gotten worse. And but as it got worse, I began to. I don't know that I want to say I felt stronger, but I felt like I was drawing some boundary lines there. And she just, when she made that turn, I think she got low as she could get.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she made that, she had a last really bad thing happen. And when she went to rehab, she was willing then. I think it was just whatever you think I need to do, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And from there, things begin to get better.
Okay. You mentioned a word there that we talk a lot about, and there's healthy ones that we have to put in place, and that's boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that was kind of your point of saying, okay, here's where this is going to be for us to be part of this, and then you put those in and you maintained them?
I think so. I mean, I tried to have them all along, but I would put them in place and take them back down or move them.
Move
them.
make them a little wider.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
But once I got to that point, and I believe this is the strength of the Lord, I just thought, I'm not changing. This is it. This is what we have to do.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the surrender part of it.
And maybe so.
And
yeah.
I think it was. You think that was about the same time when you finally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do. It all kind of happened at once.
Yeah, for me too. It seemed like when I decided just to let go, that's when I started feeling better. And it's not about me, but it's that's when things got better. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're trying to accomplish something that you just could never accomplish, so you
Right.
keep yourself in turmoil.
Yeah. Speaking to another parent now, what would you share as like the value of a boundary, a healthy boundary that you maintained?
I think it makes all the difference. It's very, very hard to do. It's something you probably thought you would never have to do with your children. Not tell them you can't give them money, or if they have a need, because you always want to help them when they're in need.
Yeah, because early on we dialed this 800 number, and they told us we can't, feed her, give her a place to live, and that was hard for your own child, So
And I don't know that we really accomplished that so much as
didn't,
that
no. No.
we did tell her, if you come back this time, this is how it is. And she did. I think she just realized and was ready herself. So I would tell other parents, don't give up. There is hope. And then God's, we don't know what the end result will be for everybody, but God's in it. I have a little book that I keep in my car when I'd go sit in the car and get ready to go to work that had a prayer in it for our children.
Mm-hmm.
And I would read that out loud in the morning. A lot of times I'd cry it on the way to work, but I still, I tried to keep my thoughts in the right place and just pray every time that I felt myself sliding down. And you just have to give your children to the Lord.
So you had other folks in addition to you guys praying.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We had, at this point, there was a while we didn't share it, but once it got so bad, we did share it. And family members, churches,
Right.
we put her on every prayer list we could do, and asked, I have friends at work, they knew about it. They had her on their prayer list. And honestly, a lot of them, have gone through a lot of things too. So, it was good to have that people to talk to.
Right. Oh yeah, I didn't really realize it was so widespread. Every day we hear of somebody going through it. So
Yeah, I like to say if you either have a family member or know of a family member a little distant, or you know somebody you work with or go to church with, if you say you haven't been impacted, you need to check your surroundings a little better.
Right,
Because
right.
everybody has,
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
whether it be, a direct, close family member or somebody that's in your circle
Right.
that's been impacted by addiction.
I think it's important too to always let the person, if it's your child, let them know that you love them. You get frustrated, but always tell them that you love them,
Right.
that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
we're here for you. There was times she just didn't reach out to us. We'd go a while and not hear from her, but I never wanted her to feel like we wouldn't do what we could do to help her when she was ready. And I
Well,
think that's
something
really
you never-
important
you
too.
never stop doing that.
No, always.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
uh-uh.
I mean, we let her know she couldn't come home and do drugs there. And, that was a problem for a while. But those were boundaries that we had to keep. But, we always told her, you're welcome here, but that's not.
If someone came up to you now and shared, we're back from our break, and we mentioned a moment ago about sharing offering hope and encouragement to a parent that needs to get connected to a group. And if that individual came up to you now and shared the story that you would recognize immediately before you got connected as a family to Celebrate Recovery and a recovery group and a program, what encouragement would you offer to them to go ahead and get connected to a program now as parents, even though the child is not there yet?
Right. Well, the first group I went into, I didn't really feel good about, and I went into the other group, Hurts, Hangups, and Habits, and that was freeing for me. So I would say, even though your child or whoever it is not ready for that, that will help you with you, and then once you feel better, then it's easier to pass that along to
I would
your
agree with
wife
that.
or your
I would agree with that. You have to have that strength in yourself. And sometimes, or at least for myself, if I think about going somewhere, then I can kind of talk myself out of it. I feel self-conscious, or I just out of place. I don't know, thinking I don't know anybody, that kind of thing. But I would say you need to go. Everybody's really friendly, really welcoming, and it makes, and the most important part is that it helps to heal you inside, to be able to share and make those connections with other people, and hearing how they cope with things will help you as well. But it's been very helpful for us.
right.
So,
And we just want to offer hope to other parents or husband, wife, whatever. That there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So our tunnel is not as long as some others, but
so if I don't want to put words in y'all's mouth, but if we kind of said for you experiencing healing has helped heal the other situation.
yeah, oh
And,
sure,
It's allowed those two to merge together to heal as a whole.
right.
It's made our foundation stronger, and I think
Yeah.
anytime you're stronger, you're able to help others as well.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And,
you just remember all the hurtful things that happen, and you just got to put those behind you. And it's a new day, a new person. So
And then you have that group that you share with, that you trust, and you think of them and pray for their needs, and you know that they are for you, and that just gives you a peace and a strength too.
Yeah. I always say that, you've got to surround yourself with people, places, and things that support your recovery. And that rings true for the whole family.
right,
Because it's not just, and what I hear a lot, working with folks is they don't, initially they don't understand that their decision impacts much more than them. And then once they start learning that and stepping into that, it helps build that. But also that comes from both sides too.
right.
So,
Oh yeah.
So, just closing out, what would be the 2 or 3 sentence encouragement you could offer to a parent from a mom and dad's perspective of, and I know that's a large task with the journey that in the walk to recovery that everybody's on, but God has placed, we've all got that testimony to share, and all that stuff that's happened is there to reflect on, to where you can, and I know y'all have heard it since then, but it's probably might have happened today. Somebody could have shared something today.
Oh, yeah.
That rang true with, 3 to 4 years ago with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
What would be what you'd share with them?
Well, we love our children, but we need to remember that the Lord loves them even more than we do. And praying for them, doing what we can do, and praying to know what not to do as well would be the advice that I would give, and knowing that by our sheer will, we can't make them well, but just to keep our focus on the Lord and be praying for them and to know there's hope.
Yeah.
We're a perfect example of that.
Right. And, it's just, don't ever give up. I hear a family saying, well, I'm done with them, but I think you just never give up. So.
I agree.
Yeah, I like it.
And support each other.
Right.
As a husband and wife, it can be hard too, because you're so much stress, and you may not always agree on the steps you're taking. So, staying on the same page and communicating with each other, I think, is very important too.
That could be a whole nother podcast, probably. That could be a whole multiple series of
That's
podcasts,
right, yeah.
probably. But since you mentioned it, I do want us to maybe just hit that real quick. Has Celebrate Recovery helped that part of it?
Okay.
To where y'all are communicating better because you're sharing some stuff in the group? So is it helped that?
I think we
I
always
think so,
communicated
yeah.
pretty well with things, but I think as we sort of learned how to deal with what we were dealing with, we were able to help each other and talk about it. So yes, it sparked some conversations.
Between y'all?
Yes,
Oh
between
my
us.
gracious! All righty, I like the way that landed there. I mean, that's beautiful. So, and I mean, really, I've gotten to know y'all over the past 2.5 years, and y'all are just outstanding. And the ones that I meet the very first time, I always seem to remember those. And most people I do. Some I don't necessarily totally get face to face with them. To have a conversation of, just a brief moment, but I distinctly remember talking to you two because y'all were in the lobby, and and the look I remember that night with you compared to what I'm seeing now in your faces is it's just beautiful to see, and it's beautiful for us to be part of, and just to really stand back and witness the work that God's done once we fully surrender it. And y'all spoke so beautifully to that today.
Well, and we appreciate you, Brian, and the whole CR group. It's the way people are so open about stuff. It's just real good to share, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what makes it happen. If people just came in and sat down, it was all about them, it would never work in the way it does. And the beauty of it comes when the healing starts happening in the community, because that's the way we were designed, is for community. And the first thing we got to break is that isolation.
Right.
I think it's probably safe to say at some point, y'all were isolated.
I feel
Isolated yourselves.
we did.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
In the same way that those walking through the addiction do.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So it just creates, and that's, if there's one thing I want to close with, is just, I think if you listen to this in its entirety, you'll see that what the family's facing almost mirrors what the individual working through the addiction faces, just in a little different aspect.
Right.
But a lot of the side effects are the same.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always broken relationships. There's isolation. There's lack of trust. and all shame.
Yeah.
And y'all jump right on that starting out, and that's,
Oh, yeah.
that's it. And it's all that's got to be laid down and surrendered because
Well, like you said, what you do affects other family members, you know, so it's not in the same way. But
yeah, it's kind of the way I see it is, you know, two divided roads that end up merging, and once they merge and everybody realizes we're on the same road of recovery together and we're going to walk this together, but we've got to surrender this as a family.
right.
And
That's
I
right.
think that's y'all. I mean, what I'm seeing with you guys is just a perfect example of that. And I
Lord's
think
good.
Yep. And I think if we, that's probably where we close at. Is just everybody takes a pause and let's get on the same road.
That's right.
And, we'll walk this together, and just know
Amen.
we're here, and there's going to be some lines on the road that everybody's got to stay in, but we're going to walk it together.
That's right.
And thank y'all so much for taking the time to do this, and there's many more of these to come, and I'd really like to hear some questions and some ideas for some discussions with folks. And if anybody listening, a parent or anybody's got anything they'd like to hear discussed, please chime in and send us an email and let us know. Then we'll see what we can do with that.
Right,
Because
sure.
I want this to be an avenue of discussion, not really an extension of the lesson, or we'll probably have some of that, but I'd like to hear the nuts and bolts of daily life, working through this dailies, where I'd like for this time space to land, and I think y'all have communicated that well. So,
Right. Well, thank you.
thank y'all so much, and please check us out on the next episode.